Greetings, 120 students. Here, let's talk a little bit about the MATLAB this week. And we do a couple of things different this week, so I'm posting a little video to give you some hints about that. The first thing we're going to do is to input some data from the keyboard. So we need to have MATLAB prompt you and have you input information in. So here's a little demo on using inputs and using outputs. First of all, I'm going to clear everything to make sure that all my screens are cleared. And then I want to input an angle theta, and then I'm going to use theta. I'm going to calculate the sine, cosine, and tangent of that angle. So to input it from the screen, I say the value of theta, or whatever you want to call your variable, is going to be input from the keyboard. So it's input, and then whatever you put in quotes will get printed on the screen, and then it will just input a variable. So I can input an angle, then it's going to calculate the sine of the angle, put it in A, the cosine of the angle will be put in variable B, the tangent of the angle will put in variable C. Now I want to display the results, so I'm going to use the disp command, and whatever I put inside these brackets will get displayed. So here's a blank line just to make a space, and then I'm going to have it display this sentence, the sine of theta is, and then it's going to output A, which is the sine, and then another blank line, the cosine is, and it'll display B. The blank, the tangent is C. So let's try this. Let's try running it and see what happens. So I'm going to hit run, and then when I go to my command window, it's waiting for me to input. So I'm going to put in 30 degrees because that's when I know it should be 0.5.866. So let's put 30 degrees in there. And looks like my displays are working fine, but the numbers are wrong. I don't think the sine of 30 degrees is 0.988 and the cosine is 0.1543. So something goofy's going on here. Let's go back and look. And I made the mistake of just doing the sine, cosine, and tangent. It assumes the angles are in radians, if that's the case. If you're actually using degrees, you just put a D here. The sine in degrees, the cosine in degrees, and the tangent in degrees. And that should work better. All right, let's try this again. I'm going to hit run. And let's go put in 30 degrees again. When I put in 30 degrees, aha, now we're getting the numbers that I expect. All right, so here we can input from the screen. We can do trigonometric calculations, and then this is how we output to the screen. All right, now let's look at something else here. I've got another little demo. Here I'm going to show you a trick that comes out with the arctangent calculation. So once again, I clear all my functions, and then I put in the opposite side, which is the y-axis part, and the adjacent side, which is the x-axis part. So I put in 5 and 8.66. So we should have 30 degrees again. And we're going to calculate the angle. And the angle is the arctangent in degrees of the opposite over the adjacent. And then I'll display the opposite side, the adjacent side, and the angle. And let's see how that works. So I'm not inputting at this time. I could input if I wanted to. I could say input op and input adjacent, and you could input, but I just want to show you how the arctangent guy works. Okay, so let's save this guy. Let's run it and see what we get. The opposite side's 5, the adjacent side is 8.66, the angle's 30. Excellent. That works fine. Let's try another angle to see if this is working as we expect. I'm going to give it an angle in quadrant 2. So if the vertical part were 5 and the horizontal part were negative 8.66, that would be quadrant 2, should be like 150 degrees. And let's see if that's going to work. Let's run that and look at the output. 5 and minus 8.66 And notice it got confused. It didn't recognize we were at a quadrant 2 angle. It gave us a quadrant 4 angle, thought we had minus 30 degrees. So this is a shortcoming of the arctangent function, atan. So one way you can prevent this from happening is to use atan2. So the arctangent 2 function takes care of the quadrant, and instead of having opposite over adjacent, I come in here and put opposite comma adjacent. That's the y component and the x component. All right, and once I do that, let's save it and run it again, and let's see what we get. Okay, so if the opposite y is 5 and x is minus 8.66, now it recognizes an angle of 150 degrees. So I recommend that you use atan2 in there, and the d is once again to tell us we're in degrees. All right, with that, you should be in good shape for doing this week's assignment. Good luck and have fun.